few years ago, I put a video up on YouTube that's still there that was really a pretty lousy video. And, there were tons of problems with it. I was recording a CRT screen. I had a cold. I was reading um, I was reading the screen. I had a PowerPoint display just with words. And I was reading it to make sure that I didn't turn the pages too fast, but I didn't realize that the microphone that I was using was so sensitive it was picking me up. And so I had this barely over a whisper sound going on in the background, and then after I'd had it up for a while, I put annotations into it to talk about some of the things that I had learned, and literally you have to pause it every 6 seconds to be able to catch each one. And, just really not a good video. But I didn't put it up to be a good video. I put it up to be a talking point. I wanted to ask a question. Can we improve efficiency? And the people that I asked said, sounds nice, but don't know what to do with it. So I kept looking around, and I did various web searches and found some things. But I didn't find what I was looking for because I didn't know what I was looking for to help me talk to someone who had a better idea than I did about what I was presenting. I ran across somebody about a year or so into it, after I'd put it up, maybe a year and a half, who I knew was an entrepreneur, who had done some things where he had started businesses and so forth. And I asked him what he could tell me about where to find people who could help me at least understand this idea a little better. And he told me about a group in Charlotte, North Carolina, which is fairly close to where we live, who do crowdsourced things. And I didn't know anything about them. Oh man, I forget the name now. Edison Nation in Charlotte. I contacted them, shared with them my idea, and asked them what I could do to work with them and get their help a little bit. And they said, well, we don't do cars, because my idea is about engines and stuff. And so after a little bit of communication, I said, okay, you guys obviously don't have anything that you can help me with, and I don't want to take up your time, and so forth and so on. So we parted company on good terms. But the idea of crowdsourcing was something I had not really heard of before, and suddenly here was this idea. So I started looking around for crowdsourcing vehicles and stuff like that. I ran across this webpage called Local Motors, and I put my idea up there. The first person to look at it was someone who does exterior design, and they said, I have no idea what this is about. Let me hook you up with the guy who's our engineer. And he came on, the engineer came on and looked at my video and said, this is the worst video I've ever seen. I was like, yeah, I know. I didn't make it to be a good video. I made it to be a talking point. What can you tell me about this? And he said, well, not sure, but it doesn't seem like a horrible idea. But then other people came in and looked at it, and a few of them made a comment. And over the course of the next year or so from that, I got some great ideas that solidified the good things that I had and helped me get rid of some of the bad things I had. A couple of the ideas came from that discussion, that forum. A couple of them came from outside of that. One of them that came from the friends that I originally posted with was the Ecomotors OPOC, opposed piston opposed cylinder engine. Quite a neat idea, and it looks like a really solid concept. One of the ideas that came from the discussion at Local Motors was the idea of Stirling engines, both of which I had never heard of before. The OPOC engine doesn't really fit with my idea. It's a great concept, but it's more about maximizing power output in just the engine. But the Stirling engine really does fit with my concept. So my original concept was to build a car that could get 200 miles per gallon. And I still think it's reasonably possible, but I don't think it's quite going to work the way that I wanted it to. What I've decided is, rather than have the car hold everything, I would have a generator, standalone generator at a house that would always run. By always running, it will always stay at temperature, it will always be running at its most efficient level and speed and power output, and you can just charge some batteries and use the batteries to run the highs and lows and take all the peaks and valleys. And it should work very well, but a piston engine by itself really isn't all that efficient. So, 30 to 40% efficiency at most is what I would expect from that, but there's still other ways. The exhaust goes out and it's still expanding, it's still exploding, so we can capture the pressure by running it through a turbine, which would recover the power and allow us to generate more power. That would make the fuel more efficient and the fuel usage more efficient and allow us to be more economic. But then we still have heat. It's an open flame, and the Stirling engine, we could add a Stirling engine to this. We could use the Stirling engine to capture the heat and turn that into some more power. Now, I'm not expecting either of those extra parts to, recover huge amounts of power. In fact, I'm not expecting them to get more than 10 to 20% as a general rule. But if they do get 10 to 20%, even if it's together, then we should be able to get 50% or more efficiency out of the fuel usage. So, what does that mean? Well, if we can have 50 to 80% efficiency, and 80% would come after tuning the system and, dialing it into a perfect efficiency point, how much less fuel could we use? Plus, here's another part. If we are able to be above 70% efficiency, we may be able to run this engine off of electrolyzing water and using the hydrogen and oxygen that has been separated. And if we could get close to 80% efficiency, we might be able to use hydrogen, electrolyzed water, and still have power left over. Now, admittedly, we're talking about spending a few $1,000s on a highly tuned, possibly unstable engine because it would be so highly tuned, but you know, after developing it for a bit, it should be able to run for a long time and not give us any problems. Everything just takes development. But the initial thing to do would be just to have an engine run that can get greater than 50% efficiency. Now, there are some out there that are working on a single engine, a single piston getting a great amount of efficiency, and I think that's great. But at the same time, what about combining the best of everything and seeing if we can't improve efficiencies to the point where we don't need petroleum fuels? We'd still need petroleum because we need lubricants, and really we don't get lubricants from anything but petroleum in some way, shape, or form that lasts, at least. You know, we could do the pig fat like they did in original steam engines. Yeah, that works for a while, but it still burns up. I don't know. I would like to see someone try this, because even if I'm wrong at being able to get 70 to 80% efficiency, if we can get over 50%, that'd be pretty amazing. So where does it go from there, you know? Just need to have somebody put it together. So, enjoy.